Okay, so back to Pirates of the Caribbean, trying to fix my ship issue, which is basically two things. One, the sails sometimes do not latch down. When you destroy the sails, they're not destroyed. That's issue number one. Issue number two is it doesn't rock properly. It does not have a smooth, fluid rocking motion. And I think that is kind of important just for general functionality, but also for the wizard mode. You got the ship is like rocking and it's going up and down, and if it's not all working perfectly, it just in the wizard mode when you're just trying to destroy the last ship, it just doesn't really work properly. The ship needs to do what it wants to do, and I need to fix it because I don't like broken ship, and I want to beat the damn thing up once I fix it. So I'm only fixing it so that I can destroy it. But this is what I've done. Removed the ship for the fourth or fifth time, which is always a pain in the ass because I can't latch the sails down because it doesn't really work properly, so I disassembled the whole thing and I was holding it in place in the bottom while trying to latch the sails manually so that they would go down so I could feed it through. Anyway, it's a pain in the ass every friggin' time. And I wanted to test the little latch coil. Henry, you'll appreciate this because this was basically your suggestion. So in diagnostics, you can go to, like right now I have lower the sails. You can do raise the sails without issue. And so if they're in, this is the lower position here. Let's lower these guys. Okay. So if I were to actually go to raise raise sails in the solenoid test, this coil would fire, and boom, no problem. And it does that every time, and that's fine. Now, in order for the sails to lower, what happens is this solenoid doesn't just fire on its own. That is the babiest little coil. It is not designed to release all that tension. What happens is that this coil holds the sails out of the way, and then little baby guy latches, like activates, and then this coil releases. So, and then that one releases. That is why if you test this coil by itself in solenoid test, nothing will happen. And I'll demonstrate that right now. Wait. So it does click. But, oh yeah, that's because the sails are lowered. Hold on. I like to think I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. Yeah, so of course when the sails are up and you try and activate that solenoid, look what happens. Nothing. That's me hitting the start button. Nothing happens because it's not designed to have the power to release all that tension. Now, it can fire freely. So, what I've determined is that occasionally when I hit the start button, the latch does not fire. Well, for some reason, it's firing every time now, and that's obviously my problem. I believe this coil is intermittent, although right before recording, it was being very intermittent. And right now, it is like working perfectly. So what I'm going to do is wiggle the wires. Which one? This guy here. This is the wire for this coil. Let's kind of tug on it a little bit. Move it around. Yeah, now it doesn't want to fail at all, right? So, what I was going to demonstrate to you, basically, is that the coil was intermittent. I cannot demonstrate that now because it is working perfectly. So, I am going to probably completely unnecessarily replace that coil now. And then I'm going to also replace the whole clutch. This is just one of those issues that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's intermittent. When you try and test it, it works perfectly. And then I would put I'm sure if I put the whole ship back together again, it would fail, of course, because that's just how it works. Anyway, that's so weird. Why are you working now every single time? But yeah, so if you go in solenoid test and your sales are up and you're trying to lower sales and nothing's happening, that's why, because the sales actually have to be lowered in order for you to test the lower sales latch. Who would have thunk? Okay, basically, in order to replace this clutch, all you had to do is remove these 4 screws that hold the motor and clutch assembly to here. So it was easy enough to remove. Then all I did was slipped off the old clutch, which is here. I don't know if it's worn or what, but it's definitely a little crusty in there. I should read about possible lubrication if needed. There's a washer here. Yeah, maybe I'll check the manual before I go too far. But so this clutch, whoa, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you got a circle hole and you got a circle pin, and it's got a flat edge on it, and it can only go one way. Then the trick is to line up this flat edge to this pin, like so. Come on, why aren't you going on anymore? You used to go on. What's your problem all of a sudden? It's amazing how either things work perfectly and I try to show them working perfectly, or things are broken and try to show them broken, but the opposite happens. Now, this was on there just fine. Now it doesn't want to go on there. Okay, what? Let's try the old one for fun. Okay, so yeah. This is like the worst demonstration ever. Anyway, what I had to do in order to line up this flat edge to this flat edge, because it just wasn't lining up properly, I took my motor, I plugged it into the machine, and I put it in motor test, and I turned the flat edge. I made a mark there where I knew the flat edge needed to go, so that this flat edge lined up to this flat edge, which lined up to that flat edge, which lined up to that flat edge, so it all would go together. I had it together and I took it apart for the video. Now let's hope I can put it back together again. And hopefully turning the motor that little bit doesn't kind of screw up things. Like maybe there was some sort of tension designed to be in there, or I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Okay, clutch has been replaced. It actually went on pretty fine. It's just me being dumb as usual. So that's the new one in there. This is the old one. Again, I'm going to remove this so we can kind of take a look at the clutch plates and see if we can see any obvious wear. Next thing I had to do was put the ship in the kind of out position, which gives me decent access, at least to this screw. Now I need to tighten these clutch screws nice and tight. And hopefully that'll solve that problem. But then I got to work on the changing the solenoid. Now, I figured since I'm buying a clutch plate and that solenoid is known to be a problem, I'm just gonna replace the damn thing. It's the only thing that makes sense why the sail is not latching down properly. It's intermittent wiring. I could just change the wiring, but I'm gonna change the whole thing. Yep. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna tighten those screws and then remove the old solenoid and get that installed. Okay, I removed the clutch plates. Well, all in all, like I don't really... Oh, there's a tiny bit of wear there. Look at that. Now, I have heard that since there's 3 of them that are the same, you can just, like, that one's on the outside, swap 2. So you have a nice fresh one on the outside. So that's one option. Let's put the worn one in the middle. And this could possibly be fine and dandy. I don't know what... Guess if that wear is there, then maybe that one of the posts is spinning within the clutch occasionally or something. I don't know. Who knows, till I put this thing back together again, but I still got the coil to go. Alright, table's getting a little messy. More and more crap's been added onto it. Here's the old coil. And I just cut it off right here, so I could just cheat and reuse the connector, but also these wires were a little bit shorter, so I wanted the extra length. And these wires are really kind of flimsy compared to these. These are really firm. And I guess with this insulation on there, it's pretty much just as firm, but I hope stiffer doesn't mean more brittle over time, because these wires are go right through here, and they prone to you know, wear and tear. So hopefully I can feed this out in a manner that it does not get too much stress. But connector's been swapped, added shrink tube there, and I don't have like super long shrink tube. I could do multiple lengths, but I didn't. I'm just gonna roll with that and see if that works. So wish me luck. I'm gonna install that now and then probably stick it in the machine and see what happens. Fingers crossed. Okay, here it is. New mini coil installed. And you gotta feed the wires down through here. Zip tie it on there. And then it connects to the other solenoid wiring. Not really connects, but there's a little tube there that you feed both through. And voila. So that means I've done basically everything to this thing possible. I've disassembled all the sails and cleaned them in a previous video. I had basically, everything apart, cleaned it. We got new solenoid, new clutch plates, and I suspected this wire could have been an issue on the old one. I tested it, and it tested fine, but who knows? So, time to stick it in and cry once it's still not working. Okay, everything's back and installed for the 4th or 5th time. Once the machine, like a mech like this, not a machine, gives me this much intermittent trouble, I rarely build faith back up in it. So, kind of reminds me of my Harley Davidson motorcycle. Eventually got it working perfectly, but I still just didn't have the faith in it. You're losing the faith on me, what do you call it again? Davy Jones. This is going to be the test. So, here goes nothing. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way with game mode. So I'm gonna start. Let's see. Okay, so the sails dropped. They normally drop there. That's not the issue. I know. Ball search. Ball search. Oh look. Went down and up. Okay, didn't get caught that time. Okay, now how's that for rocking? I'm gonna just hit this switch a bunch of times. Can you see that switch? Oh yeah. Just to keep the ball search from going off. But my boat appears to be rocking okay. For now, I mean, so far so good, but let's sink the ship and see if it works. See if the sails actually latch. Okay, well, so far so good. Let's just drain out. Okay, that was never an issue. Let's try and beat up on it a little bit more. Alright. I love the toy, it's really awesome. Just better when it actually works. Okay, nice fluid rocking motion. See if sync's okay. Alright, well, that's a couple times in a row. That's so far so good. So the only way to really test it is to play a bunch of games on it and you know, test it in gameplay. I have enough faith in it right now that I'll play it and try and beat the game. That's going to be the mission this weekend, I think, is try and destroy this game and or break the ship. So whatever comes first. But so far, so good. It is one of the cooler toys in Pinball. I do like it. Actually, check this out. I decided to just manually get to the last ship, the Davy Jones, and you can see that he's being very elusive. But you can also see that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing and not screwing up. Let's see if I can hit him. Does that count as energy off? Yep. Don't worry, I'm not going to beat him. I got to save that for doing it for real. Actually, I'm starting to get new music that I haven't heard before, so that's about as far as I want to go. Let's try and miss and see what happens. I know. That's going to screw with the ball search. Oh, shoot. I'm getting close to destroying him. I can't do that. I don't know. Actually, you can't see, but there. But I just wanted to show that during the wizard mode, it is actually behaving as it should. So that is actually gaining me a little bit of faith in this boat. So I'm pretty stoked, but now falls go bye-bye. And now I gotta destroy Davy Jones the old-fashioned way.